This is Peaky Blinders under new management. Game explanation. This game is appropriate for players of 18 years and older. You can play the game with 2 to 4 players, and it takes about 90 minutes. Summary of the game. This is Peaky Blinders, the board game. Travel back to the roaring 20s to the city of Birmingham after the First World War. Play your own role in an exciting gangster war between different factions. Manage and expand your business by trading materials. Send your henchmen to the right locations to strengthen your team, collect materials, or attack your opponent's turf. At the start of the game, each player is given 3 mission cards. The first player to complete these missions wins the game. Game components: 1 game board, 4 player boards, 1 sideboard, 11 mission cards, 4 control mission cards, 4 suspicion bars, 16 control markers, 8-sided die, 6-sided racing die, 40 conflict cards, 108 upgrade tokens, 12 fortune tokens, 30 rum barrel cards, 30 weapons crates cards, 30 car parts cards, 50 cash cards, 50 member tokens, and 16 miniature pieces. Preparation. Lay out the game board. Place the sideboard next to the game board. All players receive a player board, 4 miniature pieces, 4 control markers, 3 fortune tokens, 5 cash cards with value 1, and 2 cash cards with value 5, and 1 suspicion bar. The players set their suspicion bars in the suspicion meter on the sideboard to the first square. Place the cash cards. Organize the material cards into 6 stacks next to the game board. Shuffle the conflict cards and place this stack face down next to the game board. Place the upgrade and member tokens. Place the 2 dice where all players can reach them. Shuffle the mission cards and give every player 2 random mission cards. Shuffle the control mission cards and give every player 1 random control mission card. Everyone needs to place 1 mission or control mission card face up. The game board consists of the following zones: Zone 1, Small Heath; Zone 2, Birmingham City; Zone 3, Camden Town; Zone 4, Central London. The game starts. The game board consists of 4 different zones. In every round, all players play the same zone. A round consists of 3 phases: the preparation phase, the action phase, and the open game state. The game starts in Zone 1, Small Heath. The players then progress to Zone 2, Birmingham City, Zone 3, Camden Town, and finally, Zone 4, Central London. Zone 4 is always followed by the Epsom Derby, which is played on the sideboard. The preparation phase. The starter first places one of their 3 henchmen on the game board in the zone that is played that round. Now, the other 3 players take turns to place 1 henchman on the board until all players have placed their 3 henchmen on the board. Important. In this phase, there are certain locations where players can and cannot place their henchmen. The dots indicate which locations can be used for henchmen when playing with a certain number of players. The starter. The identity of the starter is determined during the game by counting the number of upgrade tokens on the leadership section of the player board. This is reviewed at the start of every phase. If there is the same number of leadership tokens or no tokens at all, the players roll the 8-sided die to determine who gets to start. The action phase. The players take turns retrieving the henchmen placed on the game board on a fixed order, from left to right and from top to bottom. After a player has picked up each of his own henchmen, he rolls a die to receive a reward. There are 3 factors that determine what a player should do after retrieving his own henchman. The die roll. The players roll the 8-sided die to get rewards. Players add their henchman's upgrade tokens to the outcome of the die roll. This die result is called the total score. Henchmen. All players have 3 henchmen, 1 strength henchman, 1 charisma henchman, and 1 intellect henchman. The difference between these henchmen lies in the number of rewards players receive after rolling the die. Locations. Which reward a player receives depends on the locations of their henchmen. The rewards can be materials, cash cards, or member tokens, but they can also involve reducing suspicion or upgrading a henchman. In Small Heath, you have Charlie's Yard, the Garrison Pub, and the Shelby Company Limited. Charlie's Yard, you'll receive 1 upgrade token per reward. Place it on the horsepower square on your player board. Garrison Pub, you receive 1 member token per reward. Place this token next to your player board. The Shelby Company Limited, you receive 1 upgrade token per reward. Place it on the leadership square on your player board. In Birmingham City, you have King Main's Boxing Ring, Small Arms Company, and the Winson Green Prison. King Main's Boxing Ring, you receive 1 upgrade token per reward. Place it on your strength score on your player board. Small Arms Company, you receive 1 weapons crate card per reward. Place it next to your player board. Winson Green Prison, you receive -1 suspicion per reward. In Camden Town, you have the Library, Solomon's Bakery, and the Bank. Library, you receive 1 upgrade token per reward. Place it on your charisma score on your player board. Solomon's Bakery, you receive 1 rum barrel card per reward. Place it next to your player board. The Bank, you receive 1 cash card per reward. Place it next to your player board. In central London, you have the Houses of Parliament, Poplar Docks, and the Eden Club. The Houses of Parliament, you receive 1 upgrade token per reward. Place it on your intellect square on your player board. Poplar Docks, you receive 1 car parts card per reward. Place it next to your player board. Eden Club, you receive 1 conflict card per reward. Place it next to your player board, face down. There is 1 conflict location in each zone. If a player places their henchman here during the preparation phase, he receives a conflict card during the action phase. This can either be an offense card that lets you trouble your opponents, or a defense card to give yourself a strategic advantage. Players can receive this card without having to roll the die, but only if none of their opponents have placed a control marker in the zone. If a player chooses to place a henchman in the conflict location, while one of his opponents had a control marker in the same zone, a conflict arises between those 2 players, the attacking player and the defending player. Both players roll the 8-sided die. The attacking player adds his henchman's upgrade tokens to the outcome of the roll. The defending player does the same, using the same henchman. Both players also add their member tokens to the total score. Whoever has the highest score wins the conflict. The winning player draws a conflict card from the stack. the attacking player wins with a score higher than 15, he can choose to remove one control marker of the defending player from the zone, replacing it with a control marker of their own. The attacking player does not have to pay for this marker. The losing player removes all the upgrade tokens from their leadership square. If the attacking player loses the conflict, he removes all upgrade tokens from the corresponding henchman. The defending player does not have to do this. Both players re-roll the die if there is a tie. After the action phase, all players move on to play the open game state. During this phase, they can play conflict cards, place member tokens, and bail out henchmen. After all henchmen have been retrieved from the game board and all actions have been carried out, the players enter the open game state. Players take turns clockwise, deciding whether or not to carry out an action, beginning with a new starter. Play conflict cards. Players can play their conflict cards in this phase. If a conflict card shows an 8-sided die icon, the player playing the conflict card rolls the die to boost the outcome of the card. The player adds the upgrade tokens on the nominated henchman to his roll. After a conflict card has been played, it is placed on the discard pile. Place a control marker. All players have 4 control markers. During the open game state phase, you can purchase a control marker for 8 points in cash cards and place it in a zone, so that you have your own part of that zone. You can place the control marker in your zone of choice, as long as there is space in that zone. There is no limit to the number of control markers that can be placed during a player's turn. You can place your control marker in a zone specified on one of your mission cards to help you complete your mission. But you can also place it in another zone to obstruct another player. When a player has no control markers left to place, he can take one from another zone. The player with the most control markers in the current zone becomes the starter in that zone. This control marker rule takes precedence over the rule that the person with the highest leadership gets to start. Bail out a henchman. When your strength henchman ends up in jail, you can bail him out for 10 points in cash cards. After bailing out your strength henchman, you can return the suspicion bar to the first square. Sell, buy or trade one material card at the Covent Garden Market. There is no limit to how many cards a player can sell, buy or swap during the open game state phase. Sell one rum barrel, weapons crate or car parts card by placing it on the sideboard. Place the card face up in one of the 2 allotted spaces. Selling a rum barrel, weapons crate or car parts gets you 1 cash card per card value. Buy 1 face-up material card from one of the 2 stacks on the sideboard. Pay by placing 1 cash card back on the cash card stack. Please note, the card must be one of the top face-up cards on one of the 2 stacks. The Epsom Derby. After the open game state of Zone 4, the players continue to the Epsom Derby, a mini-game that is played immediately after the 4 zones have been completed. All players place their horses on the first circle on the racetrack and move their horses forward by a number of spaces equal to the number of horsepower upgrade tokens. All players must bet 1 cash card on their horse. If a player has no cash cards, he still takes part in the race but cannot win any money. The starter rolls the racing die. The players now move their horses forward by the number of spaces indicated by the racing die. The first horse to land on or cross the finish line wins the race. The winner receives all bets. 1 cash card from the stack of cash cards for each member token he owns. Suspicion meter. All players have a suspicion meter on the sideboard, indicating how much suspicion they're drawing. When suspicion falls, the bar is moved to the left, and when suspicion grows, the bar is moved to the right. There are several ways in which suspicion can grow, but high die rolls with a strength henchman is the main way. Players can try to keep their suspicion level low by going to Winson Green Prison in Zone 2. When a player's suspicion meter is full, he loses his strength henchman. Place it on the Winson Green Prison Zone on the sideboard next to the suspicion meter. This henchman can no longer be used until he is bailed out, and all upgrade tokens must be removed from the strength henchman. Fortune. Fortune tokens can be used after a roll with the 8-sided die or the racing die. When a player uses a fortune token, they can add 1 point to their total die score. You can only use 3 fortune tokens in the whole game. End of the game. The first player to complete their control mission and the 2 other missions wins the game. The game ends immediately without finishing the round or phase.